I very rarely say this in any of my videos, but I highly suggest watching this entire video. Insurance is extremely important. And not only that, as we all know, insurance is very important when it comes to health insurance or auto insurance. But especially with ride sharing, there are a lot of tricky aspects. And in this video, I'm going to explore everything and talk about everything you need to know when it comes to Uber insurance. First off, I'm on Uber's site right now, as you can see, auto insurance to help protect you. I'm going to put that in quotation marks. I'll get into that a little bit later in this video. Uber does have its own insurance to cover you in certain aspects, but you want to be very careful. And again, I'll get into that a little bit later. Now here it is. Insurance for rideshare drivers with Uber. Now it depends on what stage you are in. So, offline or the driver app is off, so it's you're driving normally. Keep in mind, this could also be before and after you start driving. So let's say you get done with work. You start driving home and you're like, hey, you know what? I kind of feel like driving for Uber. You turn the app on. Well, between that period of you driving and you turning the app on, this is the case, you do not get any coverage. This could also be, like I said, let's say you drop somebody off and you drive back to your house. This could also happen as well, so keep that in mind. The second stage is the app is on now, as you can see, available or waiting for a ride request. Here's the auto insurance on your behalf. You know, in terms of third-party liability, if your personal auto insurance doesn't apply. I'm going to talk about it again a little bit later in this video, but as you see, these are the main terms they have. So $50K in bodily injury per person, $100K in bodily injury per accident, and lastly, $25K in property damage per accident. Now, the third stage, as you can see here as well, is en route to pick up riders and during trips. So let's say the app is on, but you've not really accepted a ride yet. You're kind of in this stage. Once you accept that ride and you're driving to that person's house or wherever they are, or let's say they're already in your car and you're driving with them in your car, this is all the auto insurance on your behalf that they have in case something happens. Overall, there's two things I'm going to say about this. One is these are very limited. And two, they can also be a bit tricky, which leads me into the next part of this video. Now, for the next part in this video, I'm going to talk about three things you really have to know when it comes to Uber insurance and especially your own auto insurance. This is a comment I got on a video I did about Lyft insurance. And as you can see from this comment, if you read through it, they're like, look, Lyft insurance was a nightmare. Even though they said we were covered, it was still a nightmare dealing with them. The way they had to deal with Lyft is a nightmare. And even though this video is about Uber, the same situation could happen to you. So here are three really important tips when it comes to auto insurance. One, make sure you get it. I said the same thing in the Lyft video. I still don't know, it still blows my mind, even if you're not driving for Lyft and Uber, the amount of people that just don't have auto insurance. And I know, hopefully, when it comes to insurance, you never have to use it. You never have to make that call to an insurance company saying, hey, I gotta tell you about something that happened. Hopefully, you never have to do that. But that's the point of insurance. It's there just in case. And the last thing that would have happened is you don't have insurance, you're driving, and even, like I said, even if you're not driving for Lyft and Uber, but something happens, you have that auto insurance in case something happens in terms of the worst case scenario. Another thing, like I said, and I showed you with that comment, even like say if you're like, well, Mark, I mean, do I really need auto insurance? I mean, hey, you know, Lyft and Uber said they'd cover me. Still dealing with them is another nightmare, and the auto insurance is there as another kind of safety net in case something happens. Number two, make sure you have rideshare insurance. This is one, probably the biggest thing I see a lot of people not doing. And the reason why is, I'd say, I don't know what the statistic is, for 95% of drivers, you have auto insurance, right? So you're like, okay, I have auto insurance, I'm all set. However, and this has happened more than you think, let's say you're driving somebody, you get into an accident, you call your auto insurance, whatever it is, and you say, hey, I got into an accident, I was driving for Lyft and Uber, and blah, blah, and then wait. You were driving for Lyft and Uber? You're a rideshare driver? You never told us you were a rideshare driver. Sorry, we're not covering you. You did not tell us you were doing ride sharing. That can happen a lot easier than you think. And for a lot of drivers who drive for Lyft and Uber, I think this is something they don't think about because one, Lyft and Uber says, hey, we'll cover you in case something happens. Two, they say, hey, I have auto insurance. I have nothing to worry about. But if something does happen and you call your insurance and you're hoping they're going to cover you, whether, again, it's personal injury, whether it's damage on your vehicle, whatever the case is, and let's say that it relates directly to ride sharing, and they don't know you're being a rideshare driver or that you have been being a rideshare driver, this is going to be a nightmare to deal with. And they might not even cover you. And maybe understandably so, right? It's a very tricky situation overall. And yes, I will say this. When it comes to rideshare insurance, most likely than not, almost 100% guaranteed, your insurance will go up. I don't know by how much. Again, everybody's driving record's different and whatnot. But the extra, whatever it's going to be a month that you're going to spend to have extra rideshare insurance on your policy is 100% worth it. Number 3 is get quotes. Shop around and look at as many auto insurance quotes you can from so many different companies and say, okay, what's the auto insurance quote from Progressive? What's the auto insurance quote from State Farm? What's the auto insurance quote from et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Look at all of them. The one thing I do want to say is there's a massive difference between being cheap and being inexpensive. And what I mean is, let's say you're like, oh, well, this insurance is super cheap, I'm going to get this one. But when it comes to all their terms, in terms of what they can cover for you, they're super low, that's bad. Yeah, you have auto insurance, and yeah, like I said before, it's rideshare insurance as well, but if they don't cover you for pretty much anything, not worth your money. So make sure if you're comparing auto insurance quotes that the terms are the same, right? In this, I remember when I was getting auto insurance, it fluctuated a lot. Like one company said, hey, you have to pay, I'm making numbers up, $150 a month. And then another company said, hey, for the same exact coverage, everything's the same, it's only $130 a month. Well, hey, I'm saving $20 a month. Why not shop around and go with the one that's $130? However, some companies would say, hey, it's only $100 a month with us. But then when I would look at the fine print and what I was being covered for, the one that was only $100 a month basically was horrible in terms of what it covered. So that's a big thing. Do not be cheap. Only go for ones that are cheaper, I guess maybe semantics, but they're more inexpensive, that have the same exact coverage as the other ones you're looking at. And now, a bonus tip, and that is to go through Uber. Now, in the Lyft video, I talked about how Lyft actually has now a partnership with Geico, where you can get auto insurance, like normal auto insurance through Geico, but if you go through Lyft, you get special perks, discounts, and even better, Geico knows, hey, you're gonna be a rideshare driver. That is awesome. When it comes to Uber, at least at the exact time in this video, they don't necessarily have any partnerships, so to speak. One thing I do suggest, because this could change in the next year, who knows if even next month they announce they're doing a partnership with an auto insurance company. Google, before you start driving, Google, maybe Uber insurance partnership or whatever, because you never know. Maybe Uber does a deal with Progressive or another company. But this is what Uber does have on its site. So looking right here, this is on their insurance page. As you can see, although Uber maintains commercial auto insurance on your behalf, put that in quotation marks, remember, it's still a bit of a nightmare. While you're online on the driver app, expanding your personal auto insurance to include rideshare and delivery insurance coverage, so this also goes to, let's say, Uber Eats drivers, could help you protect even more, or could help protect you even more. Yes, make sure you do this. The last thing you want to do, and I've said this before in a bunch of other videos, I'm going to say it again in this one, if you have to get, let's say, a car accident lawyer, and you're calling a car accident lawyer, and they say, do you have auto insurance? And you say, well, I mean, Uber said they would cover me. It's going to be way worse. So as you can see here, these personal auto insurance carriers offer additional rideshare/delivery coverage options in your state. So again, this depends state to state. There's a lot of different rules. I was going to touch upon this earlier in this video, but I'll just show you this. If I go up here, injury protection paid for by Uber for California drivers and delivery persons. So depending on your state, these rules could be a little bit tricky as well. So this is why, again, get auto insurance and they have rideshare insurance. So if I click around, as you can see, this shows you a quick kind of drop down of what each one has, right? I'm just kind of doing this. So I suggest, depending on your situation, read through these, right? And especially this depends on your driving record, and call them. Be like, hey, I saw that you have this. I saw that you have this. I saw that you have this, right? I mean, make sure you see what everyone has. And again, too, I guess I might as well say this. If you are looking to, like, say, do Uber and Uber Eats, make sure they know this as well. The last thing you want to do is, like, say, be driving for Uber Eats, something happens, and they say, wait, you said you were driving for Uber and you were doing ride sharing. You didn't tell us you're doing delivery driving. We're not going to cover you. I hate to say this, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, and this is probably not surprising to most people. Insurance companies are not the easiest to deal with. Even if you're like, wait, I'm covered. I have rideshare insurance. I have auto insurance. I have everything I need. Why are you saying you're not going to cover me? Insurance companies will hate to say it, try to find any excuse they can to not cover you or to cover you a little bit less. So make sure when it comes to your coverage, they know exactly what you're looking to be covered by, and make sure you are transparent as possible.